first, can we just say a little prayer that those kids are not with her and Ian? And while I think she tries to frame this narrative that she was forced to, you know, be in the situation she is regarding the kids and that she's being forced to love the children at a distance, I think looking over some of these court documents, it's pretty apparent that that's not the case. So Melanie's team filed a motion trying to hold Brandon in contempt of court for making false statements about her. Now, of course, this motion was denied. Thank God. And the court said, like, look, looking over all the evidence that is here, it's not unreasonable to think that Brandon did in fact think you were hiding from the cops. Now, remember, there's various points in time that we hear from Melanie herself, and we can sit here and start connecting the dots. You know, so keep in mind, Melanie runs off to Idaho to be with Lori and that whole little crowd over there. And now while she'll sit here and try and make it sound like, oh, this was a planned thing, and you know, oh, this was all, you know, a part of a bigger plan, this wasn't some haphazard thing, I'm just like, hello, no, this is a total haphazard thing, and I think the evidence shows that. And that could easily make any of us think, because I do think it's obvious that, yeah, honey, you're hiding from the cops. Remember, if we look back at the Nancy Grace interview, the private detective that was hired, and he's like, look, I was staking them out. Her and Alex, Melanie and Alex, you know, were packing the house up late at night. They put all the kids' stuff out by the corner with a sign that says free. So Melanie's saying Brandon tried to make this false statement about her hiding from law enforcement after the attempt on his life was taken. And the court's just like, there's no evidence to prove that's wrong though, because it totally looks like that. Because it totally looks like that. There's no evidence that she provided an address or anything like this. She just kind of up and left. And again, I keep coming back to this. Left the kids' stuff on the side of the road with a thing that said free next to it. I mean, come on. It goes even deeper with her saying, look, you know, Brandon even lied about trying to find me to serve me the papers for the temporary orders. And again, that's just, there's no evidence to actually support this. There's actually evidence that goes against what she's saying that supports Brandon. And the court says that. They're like, look, Brandon didn't misrepresent any of these facts. You know, the facts are the facts. She abruptly moves to Idaho and she doesn't provide him with an address. The filing even says that in Ian's notes, she didn't want him to share her new full married name with his ex-wife for fear of Brandon finding her and harassing her. And again, the court states, look, she knew about this date, this December 11th hearing, these temporary orders, and she failed to appear. And again, this goes even further with her saying, well, look, even during that hearing, you know, Brandon misrepresented facts about me in regards to me contacting him over the children. Now, one of the things in the motion for the temporary order was him saying, look, after this whole assassination attempt, she really wasn't fazed by it. She didn't seem concerned about me. And even more importantly, not that that like negates that part, but you know, it's one thing, it's like, okay, like look at a normal situation where someone might be like, oh my God, that's horrible, honey. You know, but at the end of the day, he also is like, she didn't seem fazed about the children's safety. Even if you hated your ex-husband and you weren't going to get fazed by, you know, some kind of assassination attempt, in my mind, I'm thinking, how would you even be able to rest knowing your children were with him and that happened? You know, that part to me, I'm just like, really? Unless, of course, you had something to do with it. So now, this states that the motion was filed October 18th, 2019. And then November 1st, so not that far along after that, Melanie sends like a series of texts asking about the children. And it states that during the December 11th hearing, Brandon acknowledged those texts and was like, yeah, you know what, she did reach out and ask about the welfare. So let's break that down for a second. The orders are filed, you know, basically mid-October. A couple of weeks later, you know, she sends out these text messages asking about the welfare. Everything with her is like an afterthought. And not just her, but Lori, all of them. But just specifically for this conversation, it's an afterthought. It's like, oh gosh, I guess I better do this. You know, like this is getting for real or whatever. And then she wants to run and play victim after the fact. And again, the filing says, like, look, she hasn't made any proof that these misrepresentations by Brandon, you know, occurred. And it goes even further to say, look, Melanie was like, you keep the kids when she up and vanished to Idaho. And then also in closing, it's like, look, she waited till January 27th to seek the court's intervention for her parenting time. So they're like, look, she had all these times, all these opportunities to go after this. And again, she waits till like the very end, like, you know, way past that time. So again, at this point, if we sit here and stop and look at the things that she's saying in the interviews and then start comparing these notes, it is like a totally different story. One thing that keeps jumping out to me with this is, first of all, remember the interviews that she gave. I believe it was East Idaho News, and her and Ian are talking and all that. And she's talking about, you know, number one, Ian hasn't met her children yet, which again, that right there, I'm just like, and you're going to marry someone who hasn't even met your kids? I mean, that speaks volumes. You know, let's not even get into the fact that it was, you know, they married within a month. But she's talking about meeting his kids and how they clicked and this, that, and the other. And this is where she goes into this whole aligning herself along the victim narrative. And, you know, number one, talking about her own childhood, you know, things of this nature where we see these patterns like, oh my gosh, you know, you're describing a similar situation that you're going through now. And so we see that, but also the fact that if you look at how Lori and Chad were, you know, all these different people in this, there seems to be this pattern that the female wants to completely get rid of their life, meaning their husband, their children, everything. And the male, you know, like look at Chad, for example. Now, you know, bless her heart, but Tammy is no longer here with us, and we're going to hopefully find out soon what happened. But, you know, his kids are still here. So it's almost like they're getting rid of the partner, and then the female's children are almost associated with that partner, so they have to go too. Yet the male's children are, you know, embraced. And so again, this is one more of those things that just makes me look at Ian with a little bit of a, I don't really trust you. I just feel like this whole motion that she filed was just ludicrous. I just feel like it was a last ditch, almost like a 10-cent version of Lori's shenanigans that she pulls. You know, somehow she was able to pull them off, but I just don't think Melanie is swift enough to do that. And so they just don't hold water because this judge just ripped through that. And it's also working against them, thank God, that people have caught on to the sick, twisted, murderous games that they play. And again, we sit here and see with Melanie where the judge is just ripping through this and saying, nope, 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 nope. And again, thank God it's working out that way. Her and Ian do not need to be anywhere near their children whatsoever, and I still stand by. I think that is the reason why the kids are even still with us. Now, y'all, click my other videos if you want to see more of my commentary on this case. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later.